Alright, so we're back with this thing. Got a little bit of work done on it. Tried to clean up everything up here. Got the fuel system on, and got it feeding in the back now, crossing over in the front, and then returning back to the regulator here. Trying to get the gauges working on this thing, and the instructions, or what I've read and found on the forums, is just matter of fact type information, like everybody knows how to do it. And I'm not familiar with this platform, and I didn't pull any of it out. So typically if I'm able to this truck was brought to me running and then I swapped it, then I would know what went where and be able to figure it out. But then you bring me something where somebody else has already done it and God knows what they've done, and that's that has been problematic on this one. So man, it's been tough. But so I got the vacuum lines cleaned up and tried to tidy it up best I can. I mean, I know it still doesn't look that great, but it's a lot better than it was, in my opinion, and it should work well. Got the exhaust done. We got a Black Widow or Widow muffler or something on it. It's really not that loud, surprisingly, but with the gauges, they say to take the serial data wire from here, which is blue pin 58, and then you run it across the firewall to the blue connector back here, and then there's a purple wire on pin 16, and you run that wire to that, and then that's it. So I did that. Didn't get anything inside the truck. Again, I don't know these trucks, so I was kind of suspicious that when I turned the key on, the gauges didn't look like they were doing anything. Typically when you turn a key, you can see the needle sweep or twitch or do something, but they weren't doing anything. So I'm trying to follow their wiring, and man, it's a nightmare. So then I get under the dash, and it was quite a surprise. Scotch locks and butt connectors, and I mean, just a mess. And then apparently they only had blue wire, so everything was blue. And then like, none of it made sense to me. Where, why, how. it was just crazy. So this is me trying to figure out the fuel level gauge. So apparently you have to take the wires from the pink or the purple. I think every wire in this truck is purple and black wire. And you have to take these two, so these go back to the sending unit, and then you have to run them to the ECU, and then the serial data runs through pin 58. Again, this is all just testing to try to get something to work, and I finally just now got the tach to work. And they say that the wires from the fuel pump sending unit are backwards on this one, so it could be correct as it is, because typically his trucks are always on empty when he brings them. So I mean, the gauge could be right, and if I switch them backwards, it'll show full and then it'll run out. So again, I'm still trying to figure that out. But the main thing is figuring out the serial data wire from here to that plug over there. Then come to find out, the reason the gauges weren't twitching and nothing was working is because I finally just pulled the instrument cluster, and it wasn't even plugged in. So that made a lot more sense. So I had tried every possibility combination of wiring up here, because like I say, there's reading the forums and stuff, again, I don't know what these the terminology for the connectors are on these trucks like I do the Silverados, the C1, C2 connectors and stuff. So, they just kept talking about the blue connector at the firewall. And again, I was there, and then I wasn't getting anything here. So, this truck, I forget how many miles it was. This thing's got a ton of miles on this chassis. So I guess maybe that was their workaround for not showing the miles on the trucks, just unplug the instrument cluster. But got some low dollar motorsports sensors, 0 to 100 psi sending units, and then got those configured for the Holley. So this was actually running version 1 software or firmware or whatever, so I updated it to the V2 2.080 or 2.80 or whatever it is. Michael and I had a lot of problems with the V3 on the Trailblazer, so I forget what problem he had encountered with it, but I think it was like firing the injectors and just really wreaking havoc with us on that Trailblazer. So he downgraded it to the 2.80 or whatever it is, and then it did fine. But then the firmware in the handheld wasn't updated, so it kept prompting you to update the V3. So you have to go in there and delete that whole folder off the SD card and get the same firmware number, the 2.8, and then put it in that folder, and then take your file and put it in the latest folder, F02 or something like that. You have to find the latest one, like the 100, 200, and 300 series. If it has the 300 series and you put it in the 100, it won't show up. So you have to put it in the latest folder. So anyway, again, looking through the tune, I mean, I'm not a tuner, I'm not a professional anything, but I'm just trying to see what other people do, and it just doesn't make any sense. They've got and you probably saw the flex sensor up there, so it's like there and wired in and everything, and then they have the 1D or 2D tables set up in the advanced tables, but then it wasn't even pin mapped or set up at all inside the software. So I don't know. And then I had boost controls tabs loaded on there, individual configurations. So I mean, if you're not using those, I don't like to use them. So I removed that and just tried to simplify everything. But yeah, it's really tough going behind somebody, and I guess that's why people are so leery of buying stuff like this, is because if you don't have any kind of experience or know how to work on this, I mean, you're never going to figure it out. I mean, I have a little bit of experience and can try to search forums and stuff to find things, and I'm still struggling with it to get this stuff working. So they've got a push button starter down there, so you have to turn the key and then push the button to start it. And I don't know why I don't know if they thought that was cool, or like if they didn't know how to make it all work from the key. So I mean, then here's one of the blue wires. So this was run all the way over here, and then they had a fuel gauge in there, a mechanical fuel gauge. But the thing is if they'd run it through the ECU and run it across the serial data, then it would have worked in the instrument cluster. So again, I don't know. Like I said, everybody does things different. But I mean, well, the other thing though is this place was like a shop. Like, I think they actually build stuff for people. And I mean, if I would have paid somebody to have something like this done and it came back like that, I'd be a little upset. Because I mean, we've seen some of the stuff down at Michael's from, reputable shops around here, and you hear how much they charged them, and then you look at the end result and you're like, man, how in the world, they paid that kind of money and this is what they got. It was just sad. And then, when they have a problem with it, the people that built it won't do anything for them. So, I mean, if I paid that kind of money for something like that to be done, it would have to be right. But, I try to do the best I can. I mean, there's only so much you can do. I mean, because the other side of that is all the time it takes to go figure out this platform, research, the wiring harnesses, and trying to do the integration. I mean, depending on your shop rate or whatever, I mean, that can add up very quickly. Especially me going behind somebody and then, the thing's not even plugged in, and then trying to figure out what somebody else did. I mean, it can add up really fast, and stuff like this, just, most shops or people won't even touch it because it's not profitable for them to be able to figure it out and get it working and make money doing it. So it's just I guess one of those things that just shies people away from buying stuff like this, because like I say, if you don't know the person that built it and you don't know how to troubleshoot or look anything over or do anything, then it's like I say, it's not going to work. So they had the inlet air temp sensor was in the manifold. I don't like that because this manifold's already extremely hot, and I've, because me cranking it up and everything, trying to figure out the gauges and all. So I mean, that's already pretty warm. So you're going to get heat soaking that sensor. So I ordered the correct sensor. It should be here tomorrow. So I'll put a bung right here and put our inlet air temp sensor in. I put the sending unit down here and the oil feed down here to come up to here. And then I put the fuel sensor in the regulator, and then calibrated all that. So now that I have this talking to that, I'm going to wire in the oil sending unit to the stock ECU, and then I'm going to put a coolant temp sensor on the back of that head and run it to the ECU, and then try to figure out my fuel wiring here, and then try to get those gauges working, and then we should be good to go. We discussed briefly about the air conditioning yesterday, and I mean, this thing doesn't have a condenser, doesn't have anything, so again, trying to put that together and get that to work is really going to be a lot more than I'm willing to do on this thing. So I mean, it sounds good, but trying to fit a condenser in here and all at this point would be a lot of work. So but yeah, so it's coming along. Like I say, it's just struggles of going behind somebody and trying to figure out, especially a new platform, because like I say, I've never messed with one of these. I've never even popped the hood on one, so I don't know. I think the battery was here. I don't know where anything else was on this platform. So that's part of the learning curve. But anyway, that's the update on that. And I guess we probably want to hear it run, I'm sure, so we can hear that, the Black Widow, and we can see the tack sweep on it. So we got our high beams on. How does that work? All right, let's see if it'll crank up. Have tachometer. Oh, it does have 8.8 rear end in it too, so I assume it's out of an Explorer. But yeah, so we're making some progress now, and I'll do things I just talked about and then wrap this one up.